Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second session today on the 25th of May. Oh, we've got someone there drawing on the screen. So I'm Josie Hughes, and I'm going to be chairing the session this afternoon. And we've got a number of speakers and panel discussions lined up for you. So just briefly to get us started, just some quick housekeeping notices. Apologies for those of you that have already seen these. Please do not record the workshop and redistribute. We've just been asked to do that as a courtesy to the speakers. Permitted lectures will be recorded and shared with all registered participants. And we'll send you an email with details of how to do that. You can find all the information and the programme online at the website. And any questions, just drop us an email or contact us in Discord. So for the programme, the main sessions are here at Zoom. You've already found us, and we're going to have the breakout sessions, which will run within Zoom at the bottom of the screen. And please, check your time slots on the program because a few may have changed. We're also using Discord for background chat and communication, which is going really well. There's some really lively discussion and interesting topics. So please do take a moment to join that discussion and just catch up on the discussion that is going on. So the program we've got running, for those of you who have just joined us, we have kind of an alternating main session and breakout session. So this morning we've had a plenary and a really interesting panel discussion followed just by breakout sessions that have just finished. And we're going to follow up this afternoon with another afternoon session and then another breakout session. And I'll go through that in a little bit more detail soon. And as I've said, if you want to catch up online, which I can highly recommend, as they're doing some really, really fascinating talks, if you go to the website and then click on workshop videos, they are all there and nicely labeled and titled, so you can watch each video if you select video by video. And just briefly, before we start on the next talks, I'm just going to very quickly summarize this morning for those of you that weren't here. So we started off with a fascinating plenary by Professor Ikegami, and he really introduced this lovely idea of Brooks juice. So what juice do we need to add to existing systems to create artificial life? And what is this missing bit? And how do we kind of find this gap between both man and machine, and where does this mind exist? And he showed us some fascinating, lovely videos and progress with Alta, the android robot, and also different architectures and approaches for self-awareness, kind of awakeness and dream and memory. And he really left us with this idea that machine mind is not generated from an algorithm, but is contagious through people and interactions. And perhaps this starts to come to some of what this Brooks juice is. So I think we'll really touch on this afternoon, as we have with other speakers, this idea of Brooks juice, this kind of consciousness and experience and development that is really necessary to kind of create this artificial life. So following that, we had our panel discussion. And I think one thing that's becoming really apparent in all these discussions is how important this interdisciplinary assessment and analysis is. And I think we're all broadly either trying to understand and imitate embodied intelligence, or also look at how we can apply and utilize it. But to do this, we've got to take in all these interdisciplinary approaches to be able to make progress and really understand what's going on. And this was really reflected in the panel discussion where we had. So we heard from Stoyan about growing materials with embedded intelligence and how we can do this from the bottom up. So actually growing droplet-based systems that can show growth or morphogenesis. Dario Floriani painted this beautiful picture of development of different aspects of aerial vehicles and how we can use morphological computation to offer this as unparalleled sensing, kind of robustness, efficiency, weight, and the flight of really novel aerial vehicles. Barbara Mazzoli presented this kind of alternative vision, rather than animal-inspired, plant-inspired, showing how plants actually offer us exceptional examples of embodied intelligence in terms of growth, perception, adaptation, and kind of even social networking, which was really interesting. And again, on the technology side, Jonathan Rossiter talked about how we can make better soft robots by considering and developing embodied intelligence. And this idea of developing modular smart organisms from which we can then build up complex structures and systems. and really introducing some of the work in his group on developing systems that show this onboard sensing, actuation, and even computation in purely soft organisms. And what really nicely wrapped up this panel discussion was from Yuki, talking about the cognitive side. So different approaches with cognitive predictive coding and developmental contributions to intelligence to bring these kind of hardware-based elements together. And from this, we had a really interesting discovered about this this juice that makes systems artificial. Is it memory? Is it the hardware? Is it the brain? And how does this all fit together? So as I said, if you miss these talks, do go back and have a look on them online, because they're really, really interesting and really tie into some of the discussions we've had yesterday also. So moving on to today, we start with our first plenary talk, who I'll introduce shortly, and then we've got another session of short talks and panel discussions. And then we finish this afternoon with a final plenary, another day 2 discussion. So I'll ask all speakers who contributed today at any time, please, to stay around if you're free for them. It'd be great to get your opinions. And then we'll be finishing with some breakout sessions.